Let's talk about Luffy versus Kizaru. This will be the first time since the pre-timeskip that these two men have come face to face with one another. And when you really think about it, it is because of Kizaru that the Straw Hat Pirates are where they are today. I drew a comparison to Sabaody in my last video talking about Egghead, and while that comparison still very much holds true, what we are witnessing on Egghead is significantly greater in terms of scale and power level. Even though Egghead, like Sabaody, is the first arc of the upcoming saga where the biggest looming threat is the arrival of Admiral Kizaru, unlike Sabaody, Luffy and the Straw Hats are not coming into this battle completely helpless. 2 years ago, they were an unexperienced pirate group of novices, but now they stand before us today as a Yonko crew. Luffy said it directly to Fujitora at the end of Dressrosa. If he doesn't defeat everyone who stands in his way, Marine and Emperor alike, then he will never be king of the pirates. Now, I'm old enough to remember when people thought Luffy wasn't ready to defeat Katakuri, or he wasn't ready to defeat Kaido, and Luffy has since gone on to do both of those things. If Luffy is not ready to defeat an admiral now, then when exactly will he be? Had they never suffered a crushing defeat that day on the Sabaody archipelago, it's quite possible that our beloved group of pirates will be floundering the seas of the New World, or worse, probably dead. There's a line that goes, sometimes your biggest foes end up being your biggest helpers, and I cannot think of a more fitting line for Luffy versus Kizaru. Here are the facts. Monkey D. Luffy is not the same man he was 2 years ago. It is not an exaggeration at all to say that he is in fact 100 times stronger than he was back then. For starters, Luffy ain't some small time upstart anymore. Our boy is an Emperor of the Sea, a title he acquired, by the way, after defeating Kaido in the land of Wano. And say what you will about how it happened or who all fought Kaido beforehand, the fact remains that, objectively speaking here, Luffy did the bulk of the damage to Kaido, and he was ultimately the one to put the decrepit Dragon King in the dirt. The way I see it, if Luffy is capable of going one-on-one against arguably the strongest pirate in One Piece, then I see no reason why he can also take on Kizaru one-on-one too. Speaking of Borsalino, he is easily the admiral with the best portrayal in the series, and he has yet to show what he is fully capable of. We have gotten mere glimpses of the insane power of the Glintling fruit, but it is obvious from how long Oda has been preserving Kizaru that he is about to show us the true strength of the admirals. I don't think it's crazy to say that Kizaru is the strongest of the current admiral trio. In general, the OG 3 admirals sit comfortably among the upper echelon of fighters in the series, even all these years later. Kizaru is portrayed as sort of an enigma of such in comparison to the OG admirals. He's a guy who clearly possesses a high level of advanced armament hockey as displayed in the Marineford War. We've also seen him fight toe-to-toe with an aged Silvers Rayleigh. He's crossed paths with Marco, two characters I'd confidently rank below current Luffy, but at the same time, Borsalino was ready to be deployed to Wano even with the knowledge that Kaido and Big Mom had formed an alliance. This statement alone is a big testament to Kizaru's strength, and I would argue that it is much more impressive than any on-screen feat that we've seen from Kizaru so far. Most people grimace, most top tiers grimace at the idea of facing one Yonko, and this man Kizaru was confident enough in his skills to where he would offer up his service to go to Wano and handle not one, but two Yonko. Of course, this is not a fight that Kizaru would have won. I don't think anyone in the One Piece verse can solo Kaido and Big Mom. The point I'm getting at is Kizaru's deliberately being portrayed as a massive force to be reckoned with, especially in contrast to how Green Bull handled himself in Wano. The only reason he went to the island in the first place is because Kaido was defeated, and he bailed almost immediately the second another Yonko sniffed him out. What makes Kizaru so scary is his complete apathy towards the task in front of him, combined with how powerful he is. At some point or another, Kizaru was a lively and caring man. When that changed is anyone's guess, but what I've always liked about the Borsalino character is how he treats his job as a Navy man. To Kizaru, this is just a job. He shows up, clocks in, does as he's told, and he clocks out. There's just something particularly terrifying about a person who's completely unattached to a job that involves killing. This is the first time since Marineford where we will see one of the 4 emperors engage in combat against a Navy admiral, and it is sure to change One Piece as we know it. How strong the admirals really are has yet to be seen. Our best showcase of their might is the Paramount War, where they were clearly holding back. The Admirals are incredibly strong. I know it's easy to forget this after literal years of fighting the Yonko, but let's not forget there is a reason why these three individuals are held as the Navy's greatest military might. Sakazuki and Kuzan fought for 10 whole days, and the aftermath of that fight led to the environment of Punk Hazard being permanently altered. That's crazy. Here's the thing. The Admirals are what I consider to be masters of their devil fruits. They are warriors who have fully realized the potential of their fruit powers. These last couple of arcs have really emphasized Haki as a power system. This has led to a lot of people coming to the conclusion that unless you are a high-level Conqueror's Haki user, then you can't be a top tier, but that is not the case at all. The current cast of Admirals consists of 2 Logia types and a Paramecia type. Green Bull displayed the might of his forest fruit by easily disposing of King and Queen, then single-handedly taking on Yamato, Momonosuke, and the remaining vassals. Fujitora has shown us excellent usage of his double fruit, alongside a level of observation that more than makes up for his being blind, and Kizaru, well, the man's track record kinda speaks for itself. And yet, despite this all, I just cannot see a scenario where Luffy loses here to Kizaru, and here's why. Firstly, Luffy is fresh off the heels of defeating Kaido, a man widely known as the world's strongest creature. Luffy just made pirating history, and to further add to this point, Kaido and Kizaru are 2 completely different brands of fighters. While they have both seemingly maxed out their fruit abilities, Kaido has a level of durability literally second to none in One Piece. I mean, really, how many named attacks did this guy take while also holding up an island? I'm willing to go as far as saying that we are unlikely to see another villain in the same vein as Kaido that isn't Emu. Of course, that's not saying that Luffy won't fight anyone stronger than Kaido. That's not how shonen power creep works, but seeing all Kaido had up his sleeve during the raid, nobody's topping that. What we as a fanbase have to collectively accept is that Luffy is on a whole different level with Gear 5 now. What he can do at this point is limitless. Gear 5 is an absolute game changer as far as power scaling goes. If someone like Kaido had a hard time comprehending and keeping up with this ridiculous power initially, Luffy's awakening is guaranteed to be a problem for anyone in the verse. But at the same time, the potential of a Logia awakening is scary. And I think Kizaru is the perfect character to have show off Logia awakenings. So it really isn't a matter of Luffy not being ready to defeat an Admiral. Personally, in my opinion, I say he is more than ready to defeat any Admiral. It is simply a case of it being entirely too early in the final saga for a Navy Admiral to go down, and likewise, it is too early in the final saga for Luffy to suffer a major setback right after defeating Kaido. No matter how short or long it is, Luffy vs Kizaru could end up being one of the best fights in the series given the nature of their devil fruit powers. If we thought Luffy vs Kaido was ridiculous, what we're gonna get here has all the makings of being equally, if not more, wild. Alright, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe. And I'll catch you lovely people later.